Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Rising Sign Horoscope. It's Dr. Claire Moon of Aligning Light Astrology, and we're going to be talking about the new moon on December 30th, 2024, happening in Capricorn. So it's our last lunation of the year. Congratulations. We made it through. And especially if you have some Capricorn placements, you're going to want to stick around for this one today. I do have some timestamps. If you want to run ahead and go to your rising sign, that is totally fine. I am going to do a little bit of an intro and just talk about the whole sky as we see it and what that might mean for this new moon. So if you want more details, definitely stick around for that. Other than that, I don't have too many announcements. I am doing my consults like normal, so that's what I do full time. I'm an astrologer. So if you like how I'm discussing things today, if you like how I'm explaining things, you can always book a consult at www.aligninglightastrology.com. That's also where I have my newsletter sign up. If you want to keep up with what I'm up to, keep up with things like this, I'll put a link to this and send it to your inbox later. That's what my newsletter is for. I do it once a month. You can sign up for that on my website as well. I do have a discount code going on this month. Also a good reason to sign up for the newsletter. There's always a discount code in there. And this month until I guess January 1st, it'll be SEAGOAT, SEAGOAT for what is it, 10% off? I did 10 or 15% off. I can't remember. So SEAGOAT is my current discount code. Check that out. That's for everything. It's my birthday. So I thought about being more specific, but I'm like, I'll just do a full whatever discount code again. Happy Capricorn season almost. I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I think by the time most people are watching this, it'll probably be Capricorn season. It's my season. It's my time. I'm ready to wear black and try to be cute. What else? Nothing, really. I don't have any. Oh, I actually did do a podcast appearance on Tiger Time. I'll link that below. I talk about agency. And honestly, being Capricorn is a place where Mars exalts. Talking about a Mars thing like agency is appropriate for the season. So check out the link below. I talk about agency specifically in regards to having like a reading session with someone and all of the, we could talk for 12 hours about people having agency and our perceived sense of agency. So check that out. That's below. I have a bunch of links below. I have a Jupiter Saturn workshop that is really, it's relevant now. It's going to be relevant until like 6 months from now. So check that out below. Jupiter in Gemini square Saturn workshop. That square is happening again this month. It's relevant. And I have one charity link below. So if you want to check that out, I've talked about it in the past, but it's for helping people get internet access in places that are ravaged by war or other challenges. So there's multiple ways to do this kind of thing through what we call eSIMs. I'm not that good at technology, and if I can figure it out, everyone can, I think. But it's a really cool thing where it's like in order for people to get help in a lot of these places, they need internet. They need to be able to use their phones and call in for that assistance. So this is part of linking that chain of communication together. I'll let them explain it better, but check out that link below to help people in Gaza get eSIMs. And other than that, I think that's it. I don't think I've been doing anything else. So with that, let's talk about how to best use this information today. So when we are looking at a birth chart and when we are applying things to a birth chart, like the weather, there's a few things to know. Now, everyone has a different rising sign, a different sun sign, moon sign, etc. The lens that I'm going to be looking at today is through the rising sign. So if you don't know what your rising sign is, this is where you hit pause, go to astroseek.com, channynicholas.com, astro.com, find your rising sign, come on back. The nice thing about that is that when we know the rising sign, we can start to get a little bit more specific about the areas of life that are going to be involved in the interpretation. So for instance, if I'm going to talk about Jupiter, in a Taurus Rising's chart, right now Jupiter is in their place of money. So I can get really specific about what we're talking about here. So that's why I do rising sign horoscopes versus sun sign. So again, check that out. You can always comment below or email me at lightninglightastro.com if you have questions about that or are having a hard time finding that. Other than that, best ways to use this information. This is a little bit more advanced. So if this is new to you, don't worry about it. But if you're someone that does annual profections or a solar revolution chart or any of those things where we can see time lords or certain areas of the chart that are more activated for the year, this is where we pull those pieces of information forward to help us to understand how important this particular new moon in Capricorn is going to be for you. And so look, if Saturn is your time lord this year from birthday to birthday, if Capricorn is an activated place for you this year, or if it's really lit up in your solar return chart, anything where Capricorn is more activated or Saturn is a time lord, this might be more of an important lunation for you. So if that was all Greek, don't worry about it. If that is important for you to know, this is when we start using that info. And then let's say Saturn is your time lord. That means that, again, this might be more of an impactful piece of astrology weather happening for you. It might just be a little bit louder, a little bit more important. And if it's not a time lord for you, if Saturn is not activated this year, then this might not be the largest plot point for you. And if you're not noticing things, yeah, that's totally fine. You're not missing anything, most likely. So, with that, I think that is my last little bit of how best to use this info. I'm going to zoom out and give my kind of short answer for this new moon in Capricorn. It looks like a productive time to start a thing. It looks like a good time to regroup. If you have a longer standing thing you've been working on in the Capricorn area of your chart, if you're already in process with something, this is a good time to regroup and kind of begin the next iteration or the next round of something. If you are beginning something that is actually brand new in the Capricorn area of your life, especially if it's something that you want to last a long time, that you would like to endure, those are the things that Capricorn is really good at initiating, are things that will endure. So if that is what is happening here, or a long-term plan, a long-term strategy, that's what this piece of sky on the 30th, let me actually go to it here. On the 30th of December, that's a good time to do that. Now, you can also just look around and just notice what is opening up. And this is again where if it's an activated place or Saturn is an activated planet for you, then you might be noticing, yeah, there is something opening up here in this Capricorn area of my life. And what might that be? And what kind of longer story might be in there? So watch at the end of the month for anything opening up in the Capricorn area of life, especially if it's a longer term thing. I will give an example of myself before we're done with this, before I go into the rising signs, so you can get an idea of what I mean, because I've already clocked mine. It's already happening. I already know what it is. So okay, now that we know the short answer, it's a nice new moon. I'm not seeing any huge red flags. Use it to do whatever you want to do, you know? And if you see something opening up here, know that it could be a fruitful, productive lunation. It could be a fruitful, productive January in those Capricorn topics. So now for my long answer, let's really get into this first decan, this first 10 degrees of Capricorn. We have this lunation happening at 9 degrees. If you are familiar with the tarot correspondences, this is the Two of Pentacles. This is a earth place. It's a nocturnal sign. It's slower in nature. It's more responsive to what's around it. So finding, with that decan, that first decan, and I take this from Austin Coppock, finding a place to build, finding a place that, or a way to begin something in such a way that it can endure and it can have this kind of built-in flexibility, this built-in cohesion that makes it work. This is a Jupiter place, a Jupiterian place. So we get into the first decan and we're Jupiter ruled. There's a bit of a mercurial presence with the bound lord being Mercury. But then by the last part of the decan, we even get Jupiter as a bound lord. So very flexible and adaptable area of Capricorn in terms of a place that's usually ruled by, or that is ruled by Saturn and might usually be a bit more rigid or strict or constraining. But when it comes to building here, we're going to try to be a bit more flexible and adaptable. So that's kind of the name of the game there. Another thing to consider is who can see these planets, who can see the sun and the moon, and can Saturn see them? And Saturn can. So that's a good thing for the sun and the moon. They were both being supported then by the planet that's in charge of them. So then this is part of the math of why I'm saying, yeah, it might be a decent new moon to begin a thing. And that Lord Saturn is direct, they're visible, they're doing well in the sky. They station direct in the middle of November. So even people, just looking at, let's say for this Cancer rising, their topics of other people, how they're sharing with other people, those collaborations may be moving forward much more just in the last month. And so for them, I'll be talking about, for the Cancer risings, about their partnership place in terms of new beginnings. Now, it's nice to see that Saturn has eyes on this place. They have their eyes on this place in a nice configuration called a sextile that speaks to more constructive outcomes of putting things together and bringing harmony to these two places. So whatever Pisces and Capricorn, whatever areas of life are involved there, this is an opportunity in the month of January, really, to bring together the Capricorn and Pisces areas of life. So again, just more saying why I think this is a decent new moon and I like it for starting stuff. So I know that we don't have benefics looking at this place. So we don't get help necessarily. And this seems like kind of an isolated discussion between the luminaries and Saturn. And the luminaries in general, their significations are that of life, of growth, of the life force of someone. And Saturn signifies loss, uh, decay, death, the end of life. So very polar kind of opposites, but they can work together really well insofar as most things that are growing, the life force in general does benefit from some kind of limit, some kind of edge or boundary. I really benefit from having skin that kind of holds me into one place. I also benefit from having a bone structure that keeps me, upright. So those kind of Saturnian things can be supportive of life, can be supportive of stable growth over time that is sustainable, that isn't so fast that things topple over or get out of hand or we lose the quality because it's grown too quickly. So that's another reason why I'm like, this looks like a nice, decent new moon. Now, I am going to do one big caveat, and this is going to really depend on the chart. So don't get too worried about it. But, sometimes there are difficult things going on in people's lives. And so if this new moon is showing the opening up of something that is more difficult, like, say, a chronic health challenge, and you're really dealing with limitations, barriers, constrictions, or something like that with Saturn, what I'll say to those people that are seeing something difficult open up here is that it does seem like a time where you could potentially leverage the resources that you do have, make some headway with those barriers. Being it's that sextile type of geometry, I'm thinking there's some kind of wiggle room in here with whatever boundaries, barriers, delays are happening. Or, just seeing, okay, there's this big, long challenge ahead of me. How am I going to navigate that? And maybe that's what you're dealing with. And I'm sorry if that is, but I hope that this is going to be more of a galvanizing new moon insofar as we can say, all right, here are the real challenges. Here are the real constrictions. What now? And being able to kind of come up with some kind of what now sort of plan. So I just want to throw that out there that it might not be like a happy beginning. It's not always that. And I know that this does look like a pretty isolated conversation. Like I was saying, the benefics, Venus and Jupiter can't see the new moon, the sun or the moon here. But when I look at the chain of command and then I see Saturn, who's in charge of the sun and the moon, supporting them, providing them with the resourcing that they're going to get, they are in a conversation themselves with Jupiter. And Jupiter, it leads to this, it kind of starts ping-ponging back and forth between Mercury and Jupiter, the chain of command. So it starts in Capricorn, but there's something here that also is involving the mutable axes in general. The story, the month of January, I think in some indirect way is going to hinge on whatever we've been doing in December in the Sagittarius Gemini parts of our chart. Now, I know like that's a lot of technical stuff. And if you're not like a student of astrology per se, that probably didn't make any sense. But for those of you who are a little bit more advanced, if you want to poke around the Gemini and Sagittarius parts of your chart, and see, okay, well, what's going on there? What resources, Jupiter is in there. So what resources have come from there? How are those areas of life going? And how can that support whatever this new moon is hearkening to? So I'm going to work that into my example of myself that I'll give in a little bit. But I just want to bring that in. I know that's a lot more, that's like 4 different house topics of stuff that we're dealing with then potentially. But I couldn't help but notice that the planet who's in charge of this lunation, Saturn, they are themselves really affected by this other stuff that's happening in the sky. So it's like there's a lot of rethinkings happening with Jupiter and Mercury, a lot of things being reconsidered, rethought of, reperceived, like perceived in a new way. Like I'm seeing this differently. I've got a different lens on this problem or this scenario. That's all going on right now. Like I just watched the Lisa Frank documentary and I will tell you, I am not pleased. I'm very sad. I have had to reconsider so many things this month. Like, it's only the 11th of December. But yeah, just to throw that out there, look at what's being reconsidered. Has that new information been helpful in these longer standing things? Have any changes or differences that you've made in those Sagittarian Gemini areas of life? Is that helping you in these longer term conversations? So just throwing that out there. All right. Coming back a little bit more simple, getting away from that whole rulership chain of command thing. It's worth noting that, a lot of the planets in the sky at this point, at the end of December, they are visible. We have Mercury direct, Venus is visible and direct, Saturn is visible and direct, Mars is visible, Jupiter is visible, but they are both not direct. So there's a lot of functional things in the sky. It's like not everything is kind of, distracted or scattered by doing some other things. So I think it is, January looks to be a pretty constructive month amidst some other shifting things. Now, the previous and next aspect, this is kind of my bread and butter when it comes to interpreting a lot of things, but especially a new or a full moon. I think it really helps to get a idea of what it's going to be like if we look at what conversations the moon was having before and after they had this rebirth moment. And so the previous aspect was actually at the end of Sagittarius, and it was a sextile with Venus and a square with Neptune. So let me shuffle back. We can just look like at the day before. The moon was making a sextile with Venus, a square with Neptune. So that feels much more inspired, hopeful, creative, ingenuitive, like we'll figure it out. We'll sort through it with the powers of friendship. Yeah, it seems much more hopeful going into things. And then the next aspect afterwards is Saturn, is a sextile with the ruler of the lunation. And so Saturn's saying, yeah, but there's maybe some limitations, some challenges, or hey, there's some things that you're going to have to work through or deal with if you intend on continuing with this. So it's a sextile, so it's a soft no. It's a soft slow down. It's a soft, hey, here's some things you might have to consider though. It's also commitment. Now, especially for people who are born by day, where Saturn is not just abject difficulty. It can be commitment in a more positive sense as well. I mean, not to say if you're a night baby, it can't be that, but it's more likely that it's going to be favorable if you're a day chart. Is there a commitment or something that's a long-standing relational thing that is the topic of this new moon for you? And going into that kind of, okay, here's this new beginning or a new chapter with this relationship. I'm really hopeful going into it, but then being really realistic about some things that, we might need to keep our eye on or work through at some point in that relationship. Um, that is kind of more of a somber, serious tone to things. It is in a somber, serious place of Capricorn. So, it's not like a party new moon. But again, it is looking pretty constructive to me. So, inception of a longer plan, very much this moon to me speaks to planning your work, working your plan, planning your work, working your plan. Take rest when you need to. This is a long road, but that's kind of how I'm interpreting this new moon. So, I guess before I get into the rising sign horoscopes proper, I am going to do one example of myself that I don't know. I'm gonna hope that that'll give people some insight and give people some idea about how to use my kind of riffing on things. Because it's not meant to, when I'm riffing on people's horoscopes, it's not meant to exactly predict what will happen, but to give you an idea of some of the themes that could arise. And I'm leaving it up to you to kind of fill in the shades of gray, like ad libs, fill in the blanks of the context of your own life and how that type of theme might come out in your context, right? So let me give you an example of that. And I'm an Aquarius rising, so I'll just throw that here. So this is going to be in my 12th house of chronic health conditions, long-standing challenges in general, hidden things, spiritual, emotional, mental health, and related practices. So 12th house, I like to think of as a place of spirituality and suffering and the navigation of suffering. A lot of spiritual techniques are there as a means to navigate suffering in this life. So it's all very 12th housey. It's also hidden things, behind the scenes work, quieter things of that nature, solitude, isolation, loneliness. It can also be people who are marginalized in a community or that experience of being marginalized or disenfranchised in some way. So all of that is very 12th housey. So, and this is kind of was not just Aquarius risings. Also Aries rising because they have Pisces here. So anyone's horoscope that like the 12th house is involved, you're the person who earlier I was like, if something's opening up that's a little bit more difficult, uh, hang in there. But I also don't want to gaslight you and say that, you're not seeing what you're seeing. But in my example, for me, this is long-standing challenges in relation to taking care of my health, taking care of my mental health, spiritual health, emotional health. I have chronic challenges with my body that are like a whole ass thing. And I'm noticing a new chapter opening up. I know what this is about. And right now I'm injured, but at about this time of the month, I am going to be embarking on a whole new means of taking care of some long-standing difficulties with my body. And I'm going to have to invest a lot into myself, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of love, a lot of patience, a lot of maybe money to work with a body worker or work with someone who can help me. And that is how my second house is being involved with this, my resourcing and supporting those new things that are really opening up in my 12th. And this is kind of coming out of, and it's really involved with my home work life balance. For me personally, my midheaven and IC are actually here. That's kind of funny because that's where I put it. So the fifth house of my hobbies, my recreational activities are involved. This came because I hurt myself and I'm a dancer. I just got back to the gym. I was like, I'm on a roll, and then I hurt myself. So, it's really involving a lot of how I am negotiating some life topics of my private life, the amount of rest I'm getting, the amount I'm putting into the things that fill my cup versus what I'm doing in my career, what I'm doing out in the world. And that is part of that conversation. That's not isolated from this whole, figuring out my 12th and my resourcing to support my 12th. So that's one way that it's coming out for me. Um, I hope that that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I mean in some of the more abstract explanations earlier. But you might have to, write down. Sometimes it helps me to write down on a piece of paper the house topics involved with whatever house we're working with and see what comes up. See if it's like, oh yeah, that is a theme that's been really important or ongoing. And oh yeah, I am going to start dealing with it in a different way or start my next round of working with that thing. Okay. So with that, I think we're ready to do rising sign horoscopes. Oh my gosh, I don't think there's anything else that I need to do. All right, Aries Rising. This is going to be happening, this new moon in Capricorn, in your 10th house of career, life paths, and public life. And so, if you're noticing at the end of December into January of 2025, anything new opening up in terms of career, life paths, or your public life, that could be what this lunation is about for you. And it might have to do with something to do with your 12th house. So, if you're doing any behind the scenes work related to your career, if you have taken on a new role or a new position that is behind closed doors or again a little bit more behind the scenes, that would really fit this. If you were beginning a new thing in terms of your mental health, emotional health, or spiritual health, or regrouping and starting to get ready for like the next round of mental health, emotional health, spiritual health practices. Now, if you have chronic health challenges, and this is not to say if you're well and you're listening to this, don't go looking for anything. And I'm not giving medical advice right now. But if you are someone who has chronic health challenges, this could be a time of regrouping and getting started for the next round of something to have to do with that, or the next approach, or the next thing to do with that longer path. Being what is opening up could be part of an already existing longer standing challenge, or could be the opening up of a new one. Just know that as we go into January, if it feels like something is fresh or restarting, or you're going to approach it in a new way, that could really fit what's going on here. So, it could be very constructive. It does not have to be a negative thing just because the 12th house is involved. It could be that you decide that Qigong is the bee's knees and you're like, this is going to be a part of my life from here on out. So it could be taking those spiritual practices into the life path in a larger way than normal. All to say, it looks like a pretty productive new moon. So do your best to use this time at the end of December into the new year to begin a new path, try a new thing in your paths ahead. And especially if it's something that is meant to be a longer thing, to hang around for longer, that would be really appropriate. If you have any kind of need for assistance or help, I am also going to point you to where Jupiter is in your third house of neighborhoods, communities, local people, local places. It's kind of like all those third spaces that aren't home, they're not work, it's everywhere else. There might be help there. Maybe there's a local library that has some information for you. Maybe there's a friend or a neighbor that could provide you some kind of assistance in this long-standing challenge. So don't be afraid to ask for help for those from those who are familiar to you or even extended relatives. All of those people, places, things that are more familiar might be of help this month in January. Also, communication might be a big thing in the month of January. Might be really helpful to over communicate about some of these things, even if they feel a bit more vulnerable or private. Um, and short distance travel. If you're running a lot of errands, if you're doing a lot of foundational work to try to sort through anything, it might be a good month to try because Jupiter is helping you to do that. So good luck, Aries Rising. Best of luck with all of this, and I hope you have a good month of January. And now for Taurus Rising. This is going to be more in your ninth house of long distance travel, advanced or continuing education, beliefs, worldview, philosophy, publishing, mass communications, astrology, divination, and I also see institutions, bureaucracy, politics up in the ninth house. So new things, things opening up, a regrouping and continuing on with something to do with those topics for Taurus rising. Now, this is going to be special for some people, not everyone, but some people are going to have their midheaven, that 10th housey type of point over in the ninth house. If that is you, I'm going to say some similar things to you that I said to Aries rising, that this new thing, something opening up, could be about career or life path. So look there as well. And whatever is beginning with those ninth house topics, it might be related to your groups, your networks of people, your friends. It also might have to do with hopes, dreams, and aspirations. And so some examples would be like a friend group spurring you on to a new belief system or a new way of seeing things, setting out on new continuing education paths or advanced education paths in order to pursue a longer aspiration or goal. So there are a lot of connections here with the 9th and the 11th that are really productive in the month of January. And if there is anything challenging happening here, say with politics or bureaucracy or navigating some kind of institution, if there's something opening up here in December, I want you to give it the whole month to shake out. So all of January until the next new moon, that will be, where is the next new moon after this one? Let's look. It's at, well, nope. It's in Aquarius. So give the full month of January if you are having any longer standing challenges for Taurus rising in your ninth house of institutions, long distance travel, like if you're applying for a passport or a visa or having to apply for a college program or something like that. Yeah, we're gonna watch this moon. That'll be our clock. So we'll watch the quarter moons, the full moons, and the next quarter moons. And that might be some plot points for whatever those stories are. Um, and again, if your midheaven is there, could be career, life path things coming into this as well. And if we're looking at where to get help, if you need any assistance, I mean, look to your own bank account, I guess, look to your own set of resources. If you just have time, and maybe you have the time to study, maybe you have the energy to study. Maybe you have the time, the energy, the money to travel or to do some of these ninth house things. Maybe there's a lot of growth and development with your own skills and talents that could happen because of this or related to this. So look to that second house of money, resourcing in order to get assistance in the month of January. I think that's it for Taurus. Good luck with everything. And then we have Gemini. And for Gemini, this new moon in Capricorn is going to be happening in your 8th house. This is a place of a few different topics that are very different. One of them is other people's resources, other people's money. So sharing of resources, shared assets. This is also a place of complex finances, debt, taxes, insurance, anything that you kind of have to apply for in terms of funding. That's all here. So if there's new things or things opening up in terms of debt, taxes, or complex finances, that could be the case in January of 2025. And then we also have end of life topics, estate planning and management, inheritance, advanced directives, the actual process of dying. I don't expect all Gemini risings to have issues that are going to be involved in more of those end of life topics. But if that is you, know that, okay, you can watch for the month of January and see how those things work their way out. Um, if you do have, if you are dealing with any kind of like inheritance things or more of those gets to be logistically kind of complicated, let the month of January happen. So it might be that those things take that whole lunation cycle to work themselves out or for that result or outcome to become apparent. So hang in there with that. Now, it might have something to do with the 10th house. Maybe career, maybe you're doing a different type of retirement plan or making adjustments to your portfolio because you've gotten a promotion or a new job. Maybe taking on more responsibility at work means more collaborations or having to share resources with people. So there's all kinds of productive, boring ways that the 8th and the 10th can come together, having to do with career and resources and how we finagle those with other people. So look for those things if you're a Gemini rising. If there are long-standing stories or long-standing challenges with career or life path, the month of January is a kind of a reset button for how you share or collaborate with others. You might, at the end of December, say, hey, this is what I can give. This is what I expect in return. And maybe there's a new beginning there. If you're looking for help, not to say you have to just look to yourself, dear Gemini, but there's something about you, whether it's just a general sense of confidence, a sense of optimism that you can get through whatever is challenging. That is not a small thing. And, hopefully that is worth something. There's also just in your general circumstances, there might be help around. I know that's vague, but the first house can just be what is generally around the person. Sometimes it is being in good health or having some kind of protection to the health going through some of these things. And it is in general a planet of affirmation, a planet of yes. And so other people might be more willing to say yes to you in general if you ask for help, Gemini. So if that's you, if you're dealing with any kind of challenges right now, please do not be afraid to ask for help. It might be around and people might be more likely to say yes than they usually are. So that is the case. I mean, really for Gemini risings, Jupiter is going to be in your first house until June 6th, or sorry, June 9th of 2025. So you have a lot of time to get this help. Please use it. Please use it. And I think that's it. I think that's it for Dear Gemini Rising. Good luck. And let's talk to Cancer Rising. All right, so for Cancer Rising, we have the new moon in Capricorn happening in your place of partnership. And so if you're noticing anything new opening up in your partnerships or with partners, it could be a new partner or a new best friend or a new important one-on-one person. It could be beginnings or new things with clients. If you're already working with clients, it could be a reset button or a regrouping in terms of how you work with clients. And it could also be that this new thing, this thing opening up, could be with your partner. They could steal your transit, as it were, and it could be that your partner has something that is beginning for them or a new thing that is happening with them. So watch for that, especially around December 30th, going into January of 2025. And whatever new thing is happening with partnerships, whatever's opening up there, it might have something to do with what Saturn's been up to in your ninth house of advanced education, faraway places, long distance travel, um, astrology, divination, belief, worldview. So it could be a change in your own worldviews that changes how you partner. It could be having a different kind of set of philosophies that embark you on a new thing with how you relate to other people just in general. It could be that widespread. It might not be on one partnership. It might be just how you relate with others in general. It could be that maybe after getting an advanced degree, that allows you to work with clients in a new way and in a new capacity. So there's a lot of constructive ways that these two areas of life, other people and philosophy, that they could come together in a really productive way. And if you're looking for any kind of assistance or help in the month of January, you can look to Jupiter, who is going to be in your 12th house of mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And so, if there are any challenging things with partners opening up, or having to deal with any kind of restriction, distance, loneliness related with others, right now Jupiter is kind of helping you with a little bit of buoyancy, a little bit of optimism, just an internal felt sense that things will be okay, maybe, or some confidence coming in, and giving you maybe some tools, some mental health tools, emotional health tools, spiritual tools that allow you to weather whatever is going on in your partnerships. Maybe the new structures coming in with partnership are because of an advanced or growing spiritual life or understanding. Maybe some spiritual insight coming in for Cancer risings that is helping them to have these new starts with how they partner or help clients. So I think that is the main thing. I guess, just knowing too that some Cancer risings are going to have their midheaven, their career point in the ninth house. And so there could be something here too that does have to do with career, not only others and advanced learning, others in faraway places, others and your own worldviews or philosophy, but then maybe also career, life path. So I know that's a lot. Good luck, Cancer rising. And let's see how Leo risings are doing. They've been having lots of action, and they are going to be now having a new chapter opening up here. There's a small one for the month in their place of health, pets, and labor. And so any new things or things opening up in the way that you take care of yourself, the way you take care of pets, anything new opening up in terms of labor, whether that's your bill paying work or other obligations or duties that you have, things opening up there. It could also be things opening up in regards to pets, domesticated animals, if you are on a farm, any kind of livestock. And the sixth house can be conflict. So tread lightly. End of December, if you see any potential conflicts that could open at the end of the month, choose your battles wisely. That is an extra thing for Leo risings because you've got kind of this power dynamic-y, battle-y type of signature happening across your place of self and other. So just, be careful, Leo risings, about the conflicts you get into. Not saying y'all are out there for conflict at all, but I know sometimes we're like, yes, this is a hill that I will die on. And sometimes it's like, I don't care about that and I don't need to disturb my peace. So be discerning as you can, and know that if there is anything opening up in terms of labor, health, pets, conflict, duties, it might work its way out over the course of January. So give the month of January for those themes to work their ways out. If you're starting a new job, give yourself the month to get comfortable in there. If you are a manager or have any kind of hierarchical structure in your workplace, this could be a new chapter there. So whether you've gotten a promotion or have taken on new roles or different roles, this could be hearkening to that happening at the end of the month. Something to do with the new starts with pets, health, labor might have to do with, or conflict, might have to do with shared assets. In the labors, duties, obligations of the day, who is there to help or not? Or what other resources do people have that are there to help? If you're a caregiver, are you in a program that can reimburse you for your time? If you are in a labor situation, are you being compensated properly? So there could be, some of these stories having to do with fair compensation or long-term sharing with others in the labors. The sixth house is also activism. We can think about it in terms of that sacrifice that goes towards service, or if it's something that I choose to sacrifice for, it can be activism related to shared resources. So this could be something opening up, if you're sharing your own resources with others in an activism type of way, sharing your time in activism with others and having to really collaborate with others and take some responsibility. That could be what this is about for you. And health insurance, anything with that opening up here. Give it the month of January to work its way out. End of life planning related to health, that could be going on here. So, where to get help with some of these things? Friends and groups are definitely a place to look. Organizations that help provide funding for things. Those are all good places to look. And I think that's all I will mention. I'm not going to say that, of course, I'm not giving health advice. I'm not going to say that this could be a new health problem opening up for people, because I don't want to, give anyone paranoia. Don't go looking for that. Even though I know how we could see that here, beginning of a health thing, new moon in a health place. That could be the case. You'll know if it is. You don't have to go looking for it. You don't have to worry about it. You'll know if it's there, and if it is there, so I just recently threw my back out. So, for instance, if that would have happened at this time, if I would have said, oh darn, I threw my back out. I'm a Leo rising and I did it on the 30th of December, then yeah, like that's your lunation cycle. You're going to probably be dealing with that back for the lunation cycle. Or if you sprain your ankle or something, but that again, if it's not there, you do not have to go looking for those things. And that includes with your pets. Don't let this stuff make you paranoid about your pets. If you're just trying a new food, trying a new method of communication with them, trying a new anything with your pets, that would be a good thing to do in the month of January. So that's what I have for Leo rising. Good luck. I wish you the best. Let's talk to Virgo rising. And now we're going to be going into your fifth house of children, sex, pleasure, romance, fun, rejuvenation, filling your cup, gifts, giving of gifts, delights. When it's going well, it's really great. When it's going not well, it's misery. The fifth house. But the fifth house, if you're a child-free person, this does not have to be children. There, as you just heard, there are so many other things. Also creativity and self-expression. So this new moon could be about a reset, a regrouping around hobbies, a regrouping, a doing things differently or new when it comes to your hobbies. And it can also be about date night, a new thing opening up in how you do date night. Maybe you're going to start going to different restaurants or start playing board games or something like that. So that could be a thing. If you do have children, this could be something opening up with them. Maybe it has nothing to do with you or even your parenting. Maybe it's like they're the one who's picking up the new hobby or having something new come in for them. It is a good time to regroup with anything related to parenting or childcare. Really great to regroup at this point, all the cleaning that gets shoved to the side. This new moon is really great for cleaning up the toy bin, etc. Now, fifth house can also be if you have any creative projects, creative works of your own, or means of self-expression. December 30th, great time to restart, regroup there, or begin a new thing, especially if it's a long-term project. So if anything to do with creativity, self-expression, rest, romance, children, especially if these new things that are opening up, if they are a longer term project, that would be really appropriate. Not just a really quick art project, but like we're going to work on this puzzle that's going to take a long time. That could be very Capricorn fifth house. If you have a hobby and you're going for it, like maybe you're trying to really improve in some kind of recreational way, this is a good time to begin those more long-term type of self projects. And it might have to do with other people, maybe in order to have more time with kids or have more time for your hobbies. Maybe you have to ask your partner to do the dishes. Maybe they have to take on some responsibility, delegating responsibility to other people. It could also be that long-standing challenges related to partnership is what is spurring on this regroup. Maybe we need to start doing date night again. Maybe we've forgotten it, neglected it, and we need to have a new beginning there and just go on dates again. So that can be a really productive thing to do. If you are single and you're getting ready to mingle, this is maybe embarking on making your online dating account and saying, I'm going to really commit to this process. I'm going to be serious about it, and in hopes that I might find a committed partnership. Or, if you are in the market for some friends, maybe you're just looking for some friends, this would be a good time to get involved in something that's fun that might lead you to some cool, really one-on-one relationships, some best friends, some hetero life mates. So there's lots of ways that we can bring others into this new moon and into this process if that's appropriate. But all to say, if you're looking for help, maybe recent growth in your career, recent growth in your life path has given you a sense of confidence to do some more fun things or to invest back into yourself. Maybe some confidence in the life path is helping you express yourself more or differently. So there's lots of help in the career department right now for Virgo risings that can help to support whatever is trying to open up in that fifth house of fun, dating, romance, children. Perhaps, you know, having to have a lot of or experiencing a lot of expansion in the career can also sometimes put some pressure in other places where, okay, maybe, maybe because of some balancing in the home work-life balance area, maybe that's part of this discussion. Coming back into balance if things at work have become a bit too expanded, how to come back into rest, how to come back into doing things just for the fun of it. So that might be part of the discussion as well. That's what I have for Virgo rising. Good luck. And let's talk to Libra rising. Now, Libra rising, you have this new moon in Capricorn happening in your fourth house of home, family, private life, um, parents, ancestry, anything to do with the past. That can often be the fourth house. It is the angle of Earth. It's everything that's underneath our feet. It can be private and hidden matters. So this could be something opening up that is more private, something opening up in your life that you probably aren't going to talk to anyone about or might not want to talk to anyone about. This could be something opening up having to do with your parent relationships or relationships with ancestors, new things opening up with generational topics or figuring out your ancestry. There could be a regrouping of the home. Maybe you rearrange the furniture and it's a new start with the home and living space. It could be about land, dwellings, any buildings that are on your properties, new starts there. Maybe you're breaking ground on a new project. It could be if you have a relationship with parents, this could be some kind of regrouping of that or a restart or something opening up related to parents or parent relationships. This opening up might have something to do with the sixth house of labor, pets, health, conflict. So hopefully no conflicts opening up with the parents, but if they are, they might last a while. So, choose wisely. There's some energy going on in the sky right now that really speaks to power differentials, power dynamics, power struggles. So just choose your battles wisely, Libra rising. I know you usually do, especially if it has to do with family dynamics or parents. This could be, opening up a new health practice for yourself. Maybe you're just, starting your own health practice in your own home, and this is a new start there. Maybe this is a new thing opening up in terms of your private life because you've been working in the office really hard and you forgot to have a private life. Maybe this has to do with pets. Could be something opening up like, oh, maybe there's a new home situation, a new living situation that allows for pets. Maybe you have a backyard finally and you can get a dog. So especially if what is opening up around home, family, parents, health, pets, labor, especially if it's a longer term thing or you want it to last a long time, setting up like a really good care schedule with your parents, something that feels sustainable. If you have elderly or aging parents, this would be a really good time to work on those things. So if Libra risings are looking for help, they can look at Jupiter in the ninth house. So there could be a belief system that is helping you to navigate any kind of challenge in your place of labor, health, or pets. Maybe you've got a really cool system of philosophy on how to train pets. Maybe you've got some opportunity abroad for a new living arrangement that's going to be really helpful for your just general life or your health or your labor. Maybe there's some assistance having to do with visas, passports, long distance travel, support through some kind of political process, support through even just your own attitude. I know it's kind of cheesy, but the ninth house can be worldview and just your own personal philosophy. And so just feeling a little bit more optimistic in those ways and having goodwill as part of your philosophy of life, that could be helpful right now. And so those are areas of life, and even using your advanced knowledge, your advanced continuing learning paths as a helpful thing. Or, if you do have challenges with parents, home, land, if you have challenges, um, even with local politics, um, looking to advanced sources of knowledge or experts, that could be helpful. Sometimes ninth house is people with like advanced degrees. So looking to those folks for help if you're a Libra rising, if that is context relevant. All right, good luck, Libra rising. And let's see what's going on with Scorpio rising. We've got this new moon in Capricorn in your third house of local people, local places, familiar things. The third house is a place of communication, foundational learning, dream divination, divination in general. If you have your IC here, so if you're using whole sign houses, Scorpio rising, and your IC is floating into your third house, then this new moon might also be opening up things related to not only familiar people, places, things, but also your home, your family, living situations, parents, anything like that. The third house has to do with siblings. It could be something opening up with them. And any of those people, whether it's in your community, maybe there's something new, something opening up in your local space that isn't from you directly, but you're noticing it around you. So it's a long list of things that could be involved with the third house here. But if you're on any new learning curves, if you are in a position to learn something new, that would be a great use of this new moon, especially if it has to do with your hobbies, rest, fun, sex, children, anything with self-expression or creative processes. Those are all fifth house topics. So this would be like learning a new thing, like learning how to make like a pine cone bird feeder with your kids, or learning, or like a new start, like, hey, I'm going to start dating and I'm going to maybe look in my local community. That could be a thing that could be done with this. So how can we communicate? New ways of communicating with children, new ways of, or openings up of communicating related to romance. There's so many ways that this could work out really constructively. And especially if what is opening up around communication, familiar people, places, things, if it's like a longer term story, a slower story, that would really make sense for December 30th into January. So giving that whole month for any stories about siblings, neighbors, cousins, aunts, uncles, any stories about family to really play out over the course of January, that would probably be a good idea. Giving the whole month of January to sort out how you might want to invest in hobbies, fun, rest, if that is what this new moon is about for you. And if you're looking for help or assistance, you can look to Jupiter in your eighth house. So looking to other people. If you're on a learning curve, asking someone else for help who's done that before. Jupiter up here in your eighth, helping you out in terms of other people's resources. So just in general, people being more likely to say yes, more likely to offer assistance, more likely to say, yeah, I'll help. So good luck, Scorpio rising. And let's do Sagittarius rising. This is going to be in your second house of money, resources. I mean, resources can be so many, depends on who you are, your time, your energy, your talent. It can be about your needs, your things, your stuff. What are your needs? What do you need to support yourself in your life? That is the second house. So, with these resources and money and needs, there's something opening up in the end of December into January. It's a good point to regroup, to reorient yourself with your money, update your books, update if you still have a checkbook, this would be balancing your checkbook, cleaning up the altar. If you have an altar that is for money. So all of anything to do with banking hygiene, great time to do it. And especially thinking long term. So what financial practices are going to be supportive long term? Especially if whatever is opening up around resourcing this month into January has to do with housing, home, land, your living situation, that would make sense for this. So, new starts with your resources, maybe having to do with your living situation or parents. That could come out in so many ways, maybe having to spend more because of a living situation challenge, or maybe having to save more money. Or it could be that maybe you're seeing your finances improve over the long term because you've finally gotten some stability. Maybe a good living situation is helping your bank account, and you're seeing that this could be a longer term story, a longer term thread. Opening up of resourcing, questions around housing that might take the month of January to sort out. So if you're a Sagittarius rising and there are any questions about parents, home, dwellings, land, let things work out through January. If you're looking for help with anything, right now Jupiter is in your seventh house of other people. Other people are more likely to help, to say yes, to give support, their information, their knowledge, their money, whatever it is that they might have to help you. It is a good time to ask for that. So I know a lot of times, Sagittarius risings, you have a Saturn ruled second house. Saturn is really independent. It is like, it's the winter in the northern hemisphere. They're very survivally, and they can sometimes have a hard time asking for help because they think they have to be all responsible for it themselves. So it might be extra hard to tap into this Jupiter that is currently with other people, but I just highly encourage you to do that. Push through that resistance of asking for help because it really might be there. And that is going to be the case until June 9th of 2025. So you've got the first 2 quarters of 2025 to really squeeze the rest of the juice out of this Jupiter in the place of the other. I don't mean that in an exploitive sense at all, but more in a, hey, let's have a reciprocal thing where you don't have to do everything on your own. You can get help. So don't do it alone. You don't have to. Thank you, Sag Rising. I hope everything goes very well for you in the month of January. Good luck. And we're going to talk to Capricorn Rising. This is in your first house of self. And the self, the physical self, the body, the health, as well as new things opening up with the identity, the roles, your appearance, even if you get bangs or if you get a different wardrobe, that could all be a thing to do with the new moon in your first house. If you feel like there's just something fresh and there's a regrouping of the self, a regrouping with your health at the end of December. Maybe you've gone through a lot of holidays and now it's time to get back to the self, back to what is supportive for the health of the self. So good time to do that at the end of December. And whatever is opening up around identity, self, health, physical body, mind, spirit, whatever that is, It could relate to the third house of communication, learning new things, familiar people, places, things. So it could be you having a new role in the community, a new way of carrying yourself in conversation, of communicating. You might be on a new learning curve that has something to do with the new self or the new identity, the new roles. I can imagine, if you begin anything new about the self, let's just say you start a new job or something like that. And maybe you have to communicate in a way that you're not used to or a new way, but it is something that is going to like serve you over the long term. That could be the case. Or starting a new health regimen, and maybe that new health regimen has you walking all over your neighborhood, long distances. That could be this. So it can be really constructive, productive. It could be, with siblings. If there's anything related to the new things with self and the relationship with siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, those around you frequently. Maybe having healthy boundaries with them. Maybe in order to express myself fully or to be totally healthy, I need to have certain healthy boundaries in my communities or certain healthy boundaries with extended relatives or familiar people. So all of this could be pretty constructive. If you are looking for help, Jupiter's been in your sixth house, they'll continue to be in your sixth house. So protection around health, expansion, and help with health topics. So if you are doing any new things or regrouping around that, it's a really productive time to do so. Opportunities, help with labor, with your just regular working environment. There can be a lot of assistance there. So if you're in an office space, other people might be more willing to help you than normal, so you can ask them for help. If you have a pet that's really supportive, maybe on those long walks, they're going really nicely because you have a dog and you can spend some time together. So there's some help in the sixth house when it comes to whatever long-standing things might be embarked upon with this new moon. So good luck, Capricorn Rising. I wish you the best. If anyone knows how to start a thing that lasts a long time, it is the Capricorn people. So let's talk to Aquarius Rising. I already gave an example about myself. So there, you can go back and listen at the end of the general discussion. I do go over that. So if you want a little extra tidbit there, but for Aquarius Risings, this is going to be in your 12th house of mental health, emotional health, spiritual health matters, hidden things, mysterious things. It is a place of suffering and its navigation. So whatever new things are opening up, anything coming to the fore that might be new, or even just the next iteration of these things. At the end of December, we're going to have a new moon here. So great time to regroup, reset with emotional, mental, spiritual health practices. With any kind of chronic health challenges, that can be another 12th house thing. This could be something opening up with that, something opening up with a long-standing problem of any kind. It's a place of Saturn. So Saturn had to do with long-standing difficulties. They weren't just short bursts like Mars, like inflammation that only lasts for a month. This is like long-term, like say rheumatoid arthritis that lasts for like a long time. So, or embroiled hidden enemy that's your enemy for like a very long time. So not to scare anyone, but it is the 12th. But yeah, it's long-standing stuff. So I don't want to pretend like it's going to be a brand new challenge, but it might be the next iteration of it. So if you are in a long-standing battle and you're kind of regrouping and feeling like there's a reset button here, that is available for Aquarius Risings at the end of December. This is also a good time to open things up with spiritual practice. If you have anything to get going there, to start there, to return to there with spiritual practice. And I guess with any kind of issues of loneliness or at worst, we can see people who are marginalized in society or disenfranchised. Anything opening up there that might be a long-standing challenge or just a new approach to things in that realm. That could be what's going on around December 30th when we have this new moon. And especially if whatever's opening up has to do with resources, money, investing in the self. This can be the spending of money and the getting of money in the second house. It comes in and it goes out. And so long-term spending, long-term investment having to do with long-standing challenges or chronic health challenges, long-term investment or commitment to mental health, emotional health, spiritual practices. So you got to put in the time, the reps in order to support those 12th house things. Um, Anything with getting the needs met. So new things opening up with mental health, emotional health, spiritual health in order to commit to getting the needs met. So in order for me to get my needs met, maybe I need X amount of alone time every day or something like that. So there are some really constructive ways that the 2nd and the 12th can come together. I think there could be a lot of fruitful, longer term processes that begin at the end of December. So if you are looking for that moment to refresh, regroup with some of those long-standing challenges, this is the time at the end of the December. Now, if you're looking for help with Jupiter in the 5th house, this could be that there's some opportunity amidst all of this other stuff to have fun, to rest. There is an opportunity to regroup, versus just having to keep working through burnout or something. So Jupiter can be in the 5th. But you know what? There's something fun. Or I have, my dating life is going great. Or I am feeling a sense of being able to express myself or be artistic or do something there, something creatively. So maybe there's something supportive in the 5th house with rest, art, creativity, romance, fun. If you have children, if you are, trying to invest in yourself, trying to rest or manage your mental, emotional, spiritual health at the end of December, maybe there's some opportunity related to children. Maybe your children are just getting old enough where you can actually, leave them out of sight for 5 minutes. Maybe there's some help with children, whether that be childcare or someone else swooping in that could give you that alone time that you might need. So some kind of help here in the 5th house. And if your IC is here, if your Imam Chile, Coeli, Choeli, however the kids on the street are saying it these days, if your IC has floated over into that 5th whole sign house, then some help also maybe from parents, having a really great home life or a private life that is supportive of you taking care of your mental, emotional, spiritual health. All of those things can be the case. So don't forget to look at where Jupiter is for help. And good luck, Aquarius Rising. And then we get to our ever patient, but now with timestamps, it's not so bad for Pisces. Pisces Rising, you have this new thing opening up in your 11th house of friends, groups, organizations, as well as hopes and dreams. So if you are having a new inspiration, you want to try out going for this other thing, or you want to aspire toward this thing, it's a good time to lean into that inspiration, lean into whatever you want to aspire toward, especially if you know it's going to be like a longer thing, like it's going to take you a long time to achieve that, or like it's going to be, some type of longer journey. It's a good time to embark on one at the end of December. If there's a new thing opening up with friend groups, with any kind of networks of people that you're involved with, that could be the case, and it might have to do with yourself. So whatever's opening up with friends or groups or aspirations might have something to do with the identity, the roles that you're taking on at this point in life. And I have a feeling that they're more on the responsible side. It's like taking on more responsibility in a group, becoming the treasurer of the whatever organization. Um, Maybe more responsibility or structure in the life is creating a new landscape of friendship, for better or for worse. So anything opening up with friends, whether that be, negative, positive, in between, mixed, there's something about the self involved. So Not to say that if it's a problem, like the call is coming from inside the house, but it could be like in as you are considering friendship, consider yourself. As you're considering your groups that you're a part of, consider yourself. Like don't forget yourself. Don't forget what your own, skills and talents are. Don't sell yourself short. Don't be too hard on yourself about being the perfect treasurer for that organization. And knowing that, yeah, it's time to step into uh, your experience, into authority, into having experience with things and being able to take on responsibility if you want. And just in that reference back to the self, having healthy boundaries, being able to say no in a way that really serves you and helps you to do these group things sustainably, do these more networky type of peopling things in a way that serves you in the long term versus burning yourself out for some people that you won't have anything to do with in 5 months or something, So being really discerning about groups, networking, but it's also a really constructive time to do that. And so, again, looking at this stuff at the end of December into January, letting January really be about friends groups and maybe just whatever you're going after. So if you're like, I don't have any friends, I'm not the treasurer of anything, I don't have any groups involved, then look at the things that you're working toward, whether that is a small thing, like, for me, like my dental hygiene. Maybe I'm really aspiring toward that. Or it could be something bigger, like a degree, or I don't know, it could be anything. So look at your aspirations and what longer serious commitments are going on. That might be something to watch. So if you're looking for any help with those longer stories or with groups or friends or anything like that this month, we want to look to Jupiter. Jupiter is in your fourth house of home, dwelling, land, living situation, parents. And so if you are having a lot of responsibility or feeling like it's hard to show up for those groups or hard to show up for friends, what about parents can help? What about your home and private life can help you? Maybe it's that, I would love to have friends, but I'm having a hard time getting out of my home. Maybe I can invite them here. Maybe I am going after this aspiration and I have a really solid home base that I can come back to that allows me to go after that aspiration. So looking for the home or looking for help in the home, in the private life, from parents, anything like that might be maybe a place of support in the month of January. So I think that's everyone. Thank you, everyone. And again, if you just listen to your rising sign horoscope, there is more information at the beginning. I go over some more of like the general weather that's surrounding this new moon. If you have any other questions or comments, you can email me at www.aligninglightastrology@gmail.com. You can always sign up for my newsletter, of course. If you like how I've discussed things today, you can book a session with me on my website. And I do have a discount code right now, SEAGOAT, for 10% off of any type of my services. Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you all have a great new year. I hope you all have a great January. Please take care of yourselves over the holiday season. Safe travels to everyone and take care.